Okay, so I hope
Yes.
the screen is visible to
Yes,
everyone.
the screen is visible. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So should I begin?
I think we can wait for another 1 or 2 minutes and then we can start.
Okay, not a problem.
Hello and a very good evening to all of you. My name is Dr. Amijnath Ahmed and I'm the Secretary of the Commerce and Management Association of India and I'm a host for the workshop. This is the fifth and final session of our workshop on modern research practices, methodologies, and intellectual property rights. Commerce and Management Association of India is a distinguished professional organization committed to advancing education and research practices across India. Our foundation is rooted in the mission to cultivate the growth and development of professionals across diverse domains. Commerce and Management Association stands as a dynamic platform for fostering networking, facilitating knowledge sharing, and encouraging collaboration within the realm of commerce, management, and technology. Our esteemed association boasts a member of over 50 individuals encompassing leaders from various domains, including head of the departments from renowned colleges and universities, as well as professionals from the industry. The speaker for today is Dr. Zeeshan Ali, and the topic is academic writing for research. Academic writing for research is a formal and precise style crucial for scholarly communication. It involves presenting research findings, following academic conventions, and utilizing evidence to support arguments. This type of writing emphasizes objectivity and clarity while incorporating citations to contextualize the work within existing literature. Academic writing not only communicates ideas effectively, but also contributes new knowledge to the academic community, making it an essential aspect of the research process. Dr. Zeeshan Ali, Assistant Professor at NIT Patna, is a PhD graduate from Patna University, specializing in modern British dramatist Harold Pinter. She also holds a PG CTE from the English and Foreign Languages Universities, Hyderabad. Dr. Ali, a Fulbright Fellow in 2010, guides PhD scholars, presents paper at international conferences, and has published numerous papers in Web of Science and Scopus Index Journal. Her research spans 20th century British drama and Indian writing in English. She also serves as a reviewer and editor for various academic journals. I now request Dr. Zeeshan Ali to start the session. You are on mute, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So thank you, sir. So I would begin the session, which is on academic writing for research. And as all of you know, that academic writing, it refers to a particular style of expression that scholars use to define the boundaries of their disciplines and their areas of expertise. And usually, I hope think there is some problem with the screen. I'm not able to move the screen. My PPT. Just a second, please.
You're audible, ma'am, and your screen is visible.
Yes, but I'm not able to move my screen. Oh, yeah, now I can. I hope the screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, characteristics of academic writing include a formal tone, as you can see from the examples as well, where we have, two examples given for non-academic as well as academic style of writing. Then third person perspective. Uh, so if you see the non-academic way of writing, in my experiment, I found that salt water conducts electricity better than fresh water. Whereas if you write it in the academic way, it would be the experiment demonstrated that salt water has a higher electrical conductivity than fresh water. So coming to the characteristics. So focus on research problem, then a clear focus on the research problem under investigation and precise word choice. So like the specialist languages adopted in other professions such as law, academic writing is designed to convey agreed meaning about complex ideas for a group of scholarly experts. Now, coming to the importance of academic writing. So the big picture, as you can see, so unlike fiction or journalistic writing, the overall structure of academic writing is formal and logical. It must be cohesive and possess a logical flow of ideas, which means that various parts are connected to form a whole. And there should be links between sentences and paragraphs so the reader is able to follow our argument. Now, the tone should be appropriate. So throughout the paper, the tone of our argument should be fair and it should have an appropriate tone. So when presenting a position and or argument that you disagree with, describe this particular argument accurately and without loaded or biased language. Because in academic writing, the author is expected to investigate the research problem from an authoritative point of view. That means you should confidently state the strengths of your arguments using language that is neutral, not confrontational or dismissive. Then the language clarity in language is extremely important in academic writing. And so well-structured paragraphs, clear topic sentences, these enable the reader to follow your line of thinking without any difficulty. So the language should be concise, it should be formal, then it should express precisely what you want it to mean. And therefore, any kind of vague expressions should be avoided. Now, next, we have academic conventions. So citing sources in the body of your paper and providing list of references, bibliography, work cited, these are very important aspects of academic writing. So it is essential to always acknowledge the source of any ideas, research findings, or data that you have used in your paper. So to do otherwise, if you don't do this, it would be considered plagiarism, that we all know. Then evidence-based arguments is necessary because the assignments, they often ask you to express your point of view on research problems you are discussing. So in academic writing, opinions are based on sound understanding of the pertinent body of knowledge, and academic debates that are currently being happening or that are currently being investigated or debated in your discipline. So you need to support your opinion with evidence from academic sources. And your evidence or your arguments that are based on evidences, they should be done in an objective position. That means that they should be objective and they should be presented as a logical argument. Now, the writing is thesis driven, meaning that the starting point is a particular perspective idea or thesis on the chosen research problem, such as establishing, proving, disapproving solutions to the questions posed for the topic. So in contrast, simply describing a topic without research questions does not qualify as academic writing. Another main function of academic writing is to describe complex ideas as clearly as possible. So often called higher ordered thinking skills, these include cognitive process that are used to comprehend, solve problems, and express concepts that are described as abstract ideas and that cannot be easily acted out, pointed to, or shown with images. Now, the other thing is the jargon of the academic writing. And the very definition of jargon is language specific to a particular subgroup of people. So therefore, in modern university or in modern education, jargon represents the specific language and meaning assigned to terms and phrases specific to a discipline or area of study. So, for example, the idea of being rational may hold the same general meaning in both political science and philosophy, but its application to understanding and explaining phenomena within the research work of a discipline may have subtle differences. Like, for example, fluid may mean something else in chemistry, but in the other language or in other context, it may mean something else. So if you see, it's the jargon, the jargon should be used accurately and they should be used in proper context. Now, there are some key problems to avoid misuse of a specialized terminology in academic writing. We need to be very careful about these things because if we don't understand if we don't understand the use of using simple language and clarity, then often our writing may sound confusing. So excessive use of a specialized terminology. So although academic writing represents a formal style of expression, it does not mean that using big words just for the sake of doing so or impressing others. So overuse of big words or complicated sentence constructions, they give readers the impression that your writing is more style over substance. And it leads the reader to question if you really know what you are talking about. Then inappropriate use of specialized terminology. So because you're dealing with concepts, research of your subject, you need to use the technical language appropriate to the discipline. And nothing will undermine the validity of your study quicker than an inappropriate application of a term or concept. So avoid using terms whose meaning you are unsure of. Just don't guess or assume. And it's better to consult, discipline-specific dictionaries or, consult a library catalog to understand the terms in proper context. Okay. Now, there are other problems again in academic writing that we come across. So in addition to understanding the use of specialized language, there are other aspects of academic writing in social sciences and domains other than social sciences that everyone should be aware of. And these include, as you can see on the screen, personal nouns. So excessive use of personal nouns, example, I, me, you, us, etc., may lead the reader to believe the study was overly subjective. And using these words can be interpreted by the reader as being done only to avoid presenting empirical evidence again about the research problem. Then next is directives. So avoid directives that demands the reader to do this or do that. Directives should be framed as evidence-based recommendations. Now, academic writing relies on excellent grammar and precise word structure. So the narrative should not include regional dialects or slang terms because they are often open to interpretation. So it's very important to be direct and concise. Then focus on being concise, straightforward, and therefore don't use any confusing language in your writing. By doing so, you help eliminate the possibility of the reader misinterpreting the research design and purpose of your study. Now, using vague expressions like they, we, people, the company, that area, etc. So it's very important, again, to be concise in the writing to avoid vague references to persons, places, or things. So while proofreading your paper, be sure to look for and edit any vague statements that lack context. Now, the next is the use of bulleted items or lists. So use of bulleted items or lists should be used only if the narrative or the text or writing dictates a need for clarity. For example, it is fine to state that the four main problems with hedge funds are, and then you list them as 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you use it in this way, then it is perfectly fine. But in academic writing, this must be followed by detailed explanation and analysis of each item. You cannot just number the items and leave them as it is. You will have to explain them, explain every bullet that you are using. So then the other pitfall is describing a research problem in not being able to describe the research problem in contextualizing a study. So like, for example, some description, they are needed because you can't assume the reader to know everything about the topic. So the body of your paper should focus on methodology, the analysis and interpretation of findings, and their implications as they apply to the research problems, and not background information and descriptions of complex issues. After this, talking about personal experience. So drawing upon personal experience can be an effective way of engaging your readers in understanding the research problem. So, but use personal experience only as an example, because as we all know, academic writing relies on evidence-based research. And if you don't have evidence-based research, then what you're doing is simply storytelling. And one thing I would again like to add over here is that, rules concerning excellent grammar and precise word structure. So these rules, they do not apply when you're quoting someone. So if the quote is especially vague or hard to understand, it's better that you paraphrase it. Otherwise, a quote should be inserted in the text of your paper exactly as it was stated. So if you believe that, or if you think, or if you feel, or if you see that the quote is having some kind of grammatical issue, then you're not supposed to correct the grammatical issue when you're using it as a quote. So remember to always, the quotations, they should be presented just as they are like. There should not be any kind of changes or editing done to the quotation or lines from the other texts. Now, coming to improving academic writing. So to improve academic writing, we need to focus on 3 key areas. So first is clear writing, then excellent grammar, and then we have consistent stylistic approach. So talking about clear writing, so thinking precedes writing. So good writers, they spend sufficient time distilling information and reviewing major points from their sources before creating their work. And writing detailed outlines can help you clearly organize your thoughts. And so effective academic writing begins with solid planning. So manage your time carefully. Then, needless to say, English grammar can be difficult and complex. Even the best scholars take many years before they have command of major points of good grammar. So take the time to learn the major and minor points of good grammar. Spend time practicing writing and seeking detailed feedback from professors or your guide or supervisor. And then always go for proper punctuation use and good proofreading skills, because these things that matter a lot when it comes to academic writing. Now, whether your supervisor requires you to use MLA, APA, or Chicago manual style, choose one manual style, and you stick to it. Because each of these style manuals, they provide guidance on how to write out numbers, references, citations, footnotes, and lists. So consistent adherence to one style of writing would help the flow of your paper, and it would improve its readability. Because it's very important to avoid any plagiarism or any ethical issues when it comes to writing. Now, there are some disciplines that require a particular style. So you need to be very careful about the kind of paper you are writing, or the kind of journal you are giving your paper to, because every journal may have their own way of style. Now, another useful approach is evaluating the quality of your academic writing. And to do so, it's better to consider issues from the perspective of the reader. So while proofreading your final draft, critically assess the quality of the quality of the following the elements that you see on your screen. So just see that your writing is shaped around one clear research problem, and that the research problem is explained from the onset, from the very beginning. Now, your paper should tell the reader why the problem is important and why people should know about it. You should accurately and thoroughly inform the reader what has already been published. This is a very integral part of literature review. So what has already been published or not about the particular problem, and how others relate to it. The another thing is, it's necessary to provide evidence to support your argument so that the reader finds convincing. And your paper should include a description of how and why the particular evidence was collected, and why specific theoretical argument or concepts were used. The paper should be made up of paragraphs, and it should have one controlling idea. If the idea is changing, then the paragraph should get changed. Now, you should also indicate in every section of the paper the research problem that is being addressed. And also, the other thing is that you have to also consider counter arguments or counter examples where they are relevant. Then another thing is that arguments, evidence, and significance should be presented in the conclusion, and the narrative or the language style of your paper should be clear, accurate, and in well-organized way. So these things are extremely important when it comes to academic writing. Now, the other important aspect is the use of passive voice. Many times people, they are not able to understand this, and they are not able to follow the proper kind of voice in their paper. So as you can see, active versus passive voice examples. Active is that the policies of Congress caused the economic crisis, whereas passive voice is the economic crisis was caused by the policies of Congress. Then, the Congress doesn't mean a particular party, so please don't take it in a personal manner. So focus, then the second aspect about passive voice is that the focus determines voice choice. So active voice focuses on the doer of an action, whereas passive voice focuses on the action or its recipient. And so we need to use passive voice strategically, because when highlighting the action or its impact, it is more important than the doer. So these things or these styles are extremely important when it comes to active and passive voice. But then you also need to consider what your supervisor wants to know or wants you to follow, because it may happen that a particular part or a particular part of paper may require you to use active voice, not the passive voice. Okay, so coming to just yeah, so coming to the title, because I mean, how to formulate the title of your research paper. So as you already know, you might be knowing because you are all into research, I believe, and you are working on papers. So you know that the title summarizes the main ideas or idea of your study. And a good title contains the fewest possible words that adequately describe the contents and or purpose of your research paper. And the title is, without any doubt, the part of a paper that is read the most, and it is usually read first. So if the title is too long, it usually contains too many unnecessary words. Like, for example, a study to investigate the, so on the other hand, a title which is too short often uses words which are too general. So for example, African politics. It can be title of a book, but it does not provide any information on the focus of a research paper. So, while formulating a research paper title, we need to be careful about these things. Now, there are parameters that can be used or that would help you formulate a suitable research paper title. The first is the purpose of the research, then the narrative of tone of the paper. Like, it's typically defined by the type of the research, the style or the stylistic tone of your paper, and the methods that are used. Because the initial aim of a title is to capture the reader's attention and to draw his or her attention to the research problem being investigated. Now, the other thing is to create a working title. So typically, the final title you submit to your supervisor usually is created after the research is completed, so that the title accurately captures what was done. And so the working title should be developed early in the research process, because it can help it can help people focus, it can help focus on focus of the study in much the same way as the research problem does. And referring back to the working title can help you reorient yourself whenever you are getting out of the track. So you can always reorient yourself and come back to the main purpose of the study if you feel you are drifting off, off while writing. And yeah, so the final title, characteristics of a final title. It should be it should indicate accurately the subject and scope of the study. It should avoid using abbreviations. And then the title should use words that create a positive impact or impression and simulate reader interest. Then use current nomenclature from the field of study, identify key variables, both dependent and independent. Then may reveal how the paper will be organized, suggest a relationship between variables which supports just
Meanwhile, as Dr. Zeeshan Ali is unavailable for a few minutes, I have shared the Google Form link in the chat box that is required for the attendance purpose as well as the feedback, and we'll also issue the certificate based on the attendance that we receive in the Google Form. So all of you try to fill up that form, give your feedback so that we can improve in our upcoming such programs. Also, if anyone wants to become the member of this Commerce and Management Association, you are most welcome, and you can visit our website. It is also mentioned in the chat box. So you can become the member, and for the members, there are numerous benefits also. What we are doing is whenever these workshops and faculty development programs are organized, these are free for the members. The members can avail any number of workshops. They can attend any number of workshops. And apart from that, there are other features like networking. Then we are doing some more programs on women empowerment as well as other things mentioned in the website. So you can visit our website as well, and there you can get all the more details. So I hope Dr. Zishan is back, so she'll continue with it.
Okay. Okay, yes. Sorry, I apologize for the interruption. So coming back to the characteristics of the final title, because the title is, as I told you all, that it reveals like how your paper will be organized, and it also suggests a relationship between variables that will support your hypothesis of the paper of your research. So usually the paper title should be limited to 10 to 15 substantive words, and don't I mean usually study of or analysis of or similar kind of constructions should not be included unless and until there is some kind of specific guidance from your supervisor. Then titles are usually in form of a phrase and can also be in form of a question. And using correct grammar and capitalization with all first words and last words are capitalized, including the first word of a subtitle. So all nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs that appear between the first and last words of the title are also capitalized. And in academic papers, a title is rarely followed by an exclamation mark. However, a title or subtitle can be in form of a question, but they are rarely followed by a by an exclamation mark. Just- No, it's changing. The slides were not changing. Okay. So the subtitles are quite common when it's, especially when it comes to social sciences or kind of research papers. So, but like examples of why you may include a subtitle, like when it if it explains or provides additional context, like for example, linguistic ethnography and study of welfare institutions as the flow of social practices, the case of residential childcare institutions as paradoxical institutions. Then add the subtitle can be included if they add substance to a literary, provocative, or imaginative title. Then if they qualify the geographic scope of the research, if they qualify, if it qualifies the temporal scope of research, and if it focuses on investigating the ideas, theories, or work of a particular individual, like for example, a deliberative conception of politics, how Francesco Saverio Merino related anarchy and democracy. So these are the different examples where we can see subtitles being used. Okay, so Academic writing, it is actually a large domain where it's not possible to include all the important aspects, but I've tried to touch upon all the important aspects in this presentation. Maybe next time in future we would come up with some other topic where we can think of having an extended version of this lecture. So outline, it's a tool for structuring your paper, and it is a formal system that is used to develop a framework for thinking about what the eventual contents and organization of your paper should be like. Because, an outline, it helps you predict the overall structure and flow of the paper. And the benefits of using an outline is that, because you will be much less likely to get the writer's block, because an outline will show where you are going and what the next step is. It will help you stay organized and focused throughout the writing process, and it helps ensure a proper coherence, that means flow of ideas throughout the paper in your and so the outline should be viewed as as a guide. Then a clear and detailed outline ensures that you always have something to help recalibrate your writing. And it should feel if you feel that you're drifting into another subject area, then, or you're drifting into unrelated areas or into a larger research problem, you would always understand how to come back, or you would know where to stop or where to pause. The outline can also be a key to staying motivated, because when you put together an outline where you are excited, where you want to finish the project, and if everything is clicking, so obviously this would motivate you, and it would make you sit down and write the pages that you are supposed to do. Then it would also help you organize multiple ideas about a topic, because most research problems, they can be analyzed in many ways, many interrelated ways. So an outline can help you sort out which modes of analysis are most appropriate or ensure the most robust findings. So when it comes to the structure or writing style of outline, so there are two general approaches. So the topic outline consists of short phrases. So this approach is useful when you are dealing with a number of different issues that can be arranged in a variety of different ways in your paper. And due to short phrases having more content than using simple sentences, they create better content from which you build your paper. Whereas the sentence outline is done in full sentences, this approach is useful when your paper focuses on complex issues in detail. And this outline is also useful because sentences themselves have many of the details in them, and it would allow you to include those details in the sentences later on when you would be preparing your entire paper or the final paper. So a strong outline details each topic and subtopic in your paper and organizes these points so that they build your argument towards an evidence-based conclusion. Writing an outline would also help you be focused on the task at hand, and it would avoid unnecessary tangents or logical fallacies or underdeveloped paragraphs. So to be able to do so, there are 5 steps where, first of all, you can identify the research problems. The research problem is the focal point from which the rest of the outline flows. So try to sum up the point of your paper in one sentence or phrase. It also can be key to deciding what the title of your paper should be like. Then the next is identifying the main categories. So what points will you analyze? The introduction describes all your main points. The rest of your paper can be spent developing those points. Now, the next is, what is the first point you want to cover? So if the paper centers around a complicated term, a definition can be a good place to start. So for a paper about a particular theory, giving general background on the theory can be a good place to begin. Then the next is creating subcategories. So after you have the main point, create points under it to provide support for the main point. If you remember, see, if you know the structure of paragraph writing, the first sentence of every paragraph is a topic sentence. And then we have different supporting sentences with the evidences. So if you follow that structure, then you know that the categories all should connect to the main point. Now, things to consider when writing an outline. There is no rule dictating which approach is best. So decide, choose the topic outline or sentence outline based on what you believe will work best for you. And once you have developed the outline, it's very necessary to stick to that one particular approach. Now, both topic and sentence outlines, they use Roman and Arabic numerals along with capital and small letters of the alphabet. So a particular format should be used because to avoid any kind of confusion in your outline. Now, although the format of an outline is rigid, it shouldn't make you inflexible about how you write your paper. So often when people are investigating research problem, that means they are reviewing research literature, let us say, and especially if you are unfamiliar with the topic, you should anticipate the likelihood that your analysis could go in different directions. So if your paper changes focus, or if you need to add new sections, then you should better reorganize the outline. Then there are papers where you need to trace history or chronology of events or issues. So it is important to arrange your outline in same manner. No, it's easier to rearrange things than doing it when you have finished your paper. So it's better to make these changes in the outline itself. And for a standard research paper of 15 to 20 pages, your outline should be no more than 4 pages in length. So it may be helpful as you are developing your outline, you also jot down a tentative list of references, because when you're preparing the outline, you're preparing your research paper. So you should be ready with the citations, the references, and all of these things. So now coming to drafting the research proposal, the goal of a research proposal is to present and justify your research idea you have and to present practical ways in which you think this research should be conducted. The forms and procedures for such research are defined by the field of study. So guidelines for research proposals are generally more exacting, confirming, and less formal than a project proposal. And research proposals, they contain extensive literature reviews, and they must provide persuasive evidence that there is a need for research study being proposed, research study being done. And in addition to this, in addition to providing rationale for the proposed research, a proposal should also describe methodology for conducting the research consistent with requirements of professional or academic field, and a statement on anticipated outcomes and benefits that would happen after the study. Now, when your supervisor assigns you the task of writing a research proposal, or when you are supposed to write a research proposal, then you should always think or develop your skills in thinking about and designing a comprehensive research study, because it would help you learn how to conduct a comprehensive review of the literature to ensure that the research problem has not been answered or it has not been taken up. And in doing so, you also become familiar with scholarship related to your topic. You get familiar with the literature or review that is being done. It also improves your general research and writing skills. It helps you practice, identify what are the logical steps that have to be taken to accomplish that particular research or those research goals. Then it also gives you a sense of curiosity or inquisitiveness within yourself, because you see yourself as an active participant in doing a scholarly research. So regardless of the research problem you are investigating or methodology that you are using, all research problems must address the questions that you see on your screen. So what do you want? What do you plan to accomplish? So be clear and sufficient in defining the research problem and what is that you're proposing to research. Why do you want to do it? So in addition to your research design, you should also have a thorough review of literature and provide convincing evidence that the topic is worthy of research, it is worthy of study. And then how are you going to do it? So be sure that what the proposal that you are giving, you are placing is doable. And because many a times, there are different mistakes or problems that may come up. So the mistakes or problems may be like, the failure of being concise. Then there might be problem of you citing landmark works, seminal works, landmark works in your literature review. Then you may delimit the contextual boundaries of your research. Then you may fail to develop a coherent or persuasive argument for the proposed research. And you may also lose the focus on the research question and may go on unrelated tangents. Then your writing may get sloppy or imprecise, poor grammar may be used, or too much detail on minor issues may happen, and in doing so, you may miss giving proper details on the major issues. So, in general, the research proposal contains sections like introduction, background, literature review, research design and methods, then supposition and implications, and conclusion. So coming to introduction, now in the real world of research, a research proposal is most often written by scholars who are working on a research project, or it's first time or first step in getting approval to your doctoral dissertation or your thesis. So, I mean, the introduction, after reading the introduction, your readers should not only have an understanding of what you want to do, but they also should be able to see your passion in doing so. And then they should be able to see that this project or this proposal is doable because of its possible outcomes. So when you are preparing your introduction, you think about writing it in 1 to 3 paragraphs, and your introduction should answer the questions like, what is the central research problem? What is the topic of study related to that problem? What methods should be used to analyze the research problem? And why is this important research? And why should someone reading the proposal care about the outcomes from the study? So these are the questions that your introduction should answer. Now, this section can be melded into your introduction, or you can create a separate section to help with the organization and flow of your proposal. Now, this is where you explain the context of your project and outline why it's important. And approach writing this section with the thought that you can't assume that your reader will know as much as the research problem as you do. So proper explanation should be given. And also remember that this section is not an essay going over everything you have learned about the research problem. So here in this section, you should choose what is relevant to help explain your goals for the study. And so when you are stating the research problem in your background, section. So give it a more detailed explanation and give the purpose of the study than what you stated in the introduction. Present the rationale of your proposed study and clearly indicate why it's worthy doing. Answer the so what question, like why should anyone care about your proposal? Describe the major issues or problems to be addressed by your research. Then explain how you plan to go about your research and identify the key sources you intend to use and explain how these key sources will contribute to the analysis of your topic. Then set the boundaries of your proposed research in order to provide a clear focus and provide definitions of key concepts or terms if it is required or necessary. Now, this section is again connected to the background and it is the significance of your study, but here it's a more deliberate review and synthesis of prior studies that have been done related to your research problem under investigation. And the purpose here is to place your project within larger whole of what is being explored, while you are also demonstrating to your readers that your work is original and innovative. And in doing so, you are showing that what kind of scholarship or scholarly study is being done in related areas. Now, since our literature review is information dense, it is crucial that this section is intelligently structured to enable reader understand key arguments, and so underpinning your study in relation to that of other researchers. And so a good strategy is to break the literature into conceptual categories, themes, rather than systematically describing materials one at a time. Now, to help frame proposals literature review, there are 5 C's of writing literature review. So first is cite. So keep your primary focus on the literature pertinent to your research problem. Compare the various arguments, theories, methodologies, and findings expressed in the literature. Like what do authors agree on? Who applies similar approaches to analyzing the research problem? Then contrast the various arguments, themes, methodologies, approaches, and controversies that are expressed in the literature. What are the major areas of disagreement, controversy, or debate? Then critique the literature. So which arguments are more persuasive and why? Which approaches, findings, methodologies seem more reliable, valid, and appropriate? And so pay attention to the verbs you use to describe what an author says. Assert, like verbs like asserts, demonstrates. Then connect the literature to your own area of research and investigation. Like how does your own work draw upon or depart from or synthesize with what has already been said in the literature. Now, this section must be well written and logically organized. Because you are not actually doing the research. As a consequence, the reader will never have a study outcome from which to evaluate whether to evaluate your methodological choices or not. So the objective in this section is to ensure that the reader is convinced that your overall research design and methods of analysis will correctly address the research problem. So your design and method should be absolutely tied to the specific aims of your study, to the objectives of your study. So it's important that you describe the overall research design, and you can do this by building upon or drawing examples from your review of literature. And you need to be specific about the methodological approaches you plan to undertake to collect information, what techniques you would use to analyze it, and what tests of external validity will you commit yourself to. So all of these things, they should be properly mentioned in your research designs or methods. Now, while describing the methods, you should be sure to cover the issues. Like the issues are So issues are specifying the research operations that you will undertake and the way you will interpret the results of these operations in relation to your research problem. So don't just describe what you intend to achieve from applying the methods you choose, but also state how you will spend your time doing it. Then keep in mind that a methodology is not just a list of research tasks. It is an argument. So as to why these tasks add up to investigate the research problem, it is important to understand and investigate this. So this is important. This is an important point because the mere listing of tasks to perform does not demonstrate that they add up to the best feasible approach. And then you should also be sure to anticipate and acknowledge any potential barriers or pitfalls that you may come across in carrying out your research design. And you should be ready to explain how you plan to get around them. Now, just because you don't have actually conducted the study and analyzed the result, it does not mean that you can skip talking about the process and potential implications. Now, the purpose of this section is to argue and how and in what ways you believe your research will refine, revise, or extend existing knowledge in the subject area under investigation. And depending on the aims and objectives of your study, you can describe the anticipated results of your study and how it will impact future scholarly research, theory, practice, or forms of intervention. And when thinking about potential implications of your study, it is important to ask the questions that there are many different kinds of questions that you can ask. Like, for example, what does the result mean? Result of the result of the research mean in regards to the theoretical framework? Then what suggestions for subsequent research could arise from potential outcomes of the study? What will the results mean to practitioners in the real world? What will the result influence programs, methods, or other forms of interventions? How might the result contribute to the solutions of social, economic, or other types of problems? Then will the result influence policy decisions? What would be improved or what will get changed as a result of your proposed research? And how will the result of the study implemented and what innovations will come about? So these are some of the questions that you can talk about, or you will have to think about potential implications of your research. Now, the conclusion reiterates the importance or significance of your proposal and provides a brief recap of the entire study. So this section should be limited to 1 or 2 paragraphs, and it should emphasize why your research study is unique and why it advances knowledge and why the research problem is worth investigating. So a person who is reading your section, this concluding section, should understand why the study was done and what was the specific purpose of the study and the research questions it attempted to answer. Uh, it should have an understanding of the research design and methods used. Then there should be an understanding of potential implications emerging from your proposed study, and also a sense of how your study fits within the broader scholarship or broader research that is going around the research problem. Now, as with any scholarly research paper, you must cite the sources you used in composing your proposal. And in a standard research proposal, this section can take 2 forms. So you need to know, according to your supervisor or the journal that you are sending your paper to. So you need to cite your paper according to the expectation of the journal or the supervisor. So there are 2 forms: references, which lists only literature that you actually used or cited in your proposal, whereas bibliography lists everything you used or cited in your proposal with additional citations of any key sources relevant to understanding the research problem. Now, in either case, this section should testify to the fact that you did enough preparatory work to make sure that the project will complement and not duplicate the efforts of other researchers. So when you're writing references or bibliography section, you should always use the heading on the top and start on a new page. And cited work should always use a standard format. That means, it should follow writing style advised by the discipline of your course. So if it is APA, it should be APA. If it says Chicago, it should be Chicago. And this section normally does not count towards the total length of your proposal. So if it's proposal, this would not count, but many journals, they actually count the number of the words or the length of the references or bibliography if used. So that's all. If you have any questions, you can email me on my email ID that's enlisted here on the screen.
Yes, so any questions, please ask. Ma'am is here.
Or they can, because it's quite late, so they can email me the questions. I would definitely reply to their questions.
Sure. You have the email ID, so you can use this email ID to share it with ma'am. She'll definitely answer. And we'll quickly wrap up the event today. There are a few important points to be noted that all members here are required to fill up the Google form. It is there in the chat box, and all materials will be available on the website. The website link is also shared in the chat box. Thank you very much, ma'am, for presenting in this very detailed information on academic writing for research. I hereby extend my request to Ms. Gulreet Kaur, the President of Commerce and Management Association of India, to graciously deliver the vote of thanks. Ms. Gulreet Kaur is an accomplished entrepreneur and dedicated research scholar, is actively involved in managing her diverse ventures ranging from wheel industry to hospitality. Her leadership skills were notably showcased during her tenure as the president of Lions Club International from 2017 to 2019. With a master's in computer application, Ms. Kaur is currently pursuing her PhD at the Swiss School of Business and Management, reflecting her commitment to continuous academic and professional growth. Ms. Gulreet Kaur, please present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to start with a quote that is, research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. So as we conclude this enlightening one-week faculty development program and workshop on modern research practices, methodologies, and intellectual property rights, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who have contributed to the success of this transformative event, with a special acknowledgement to BIT Mishra and Commerce and Management Association of India. I will like to express our deepest appreciation to our distinguished speakers and facilitators, especially Colonel Dr. Rakesh Sharma, whose passion for academy and commitment to fostering intellectual growth have undoubtedly left an important mark to all the participants. Dr. Vinishri, Dr. A. Sudarviji, Dr. Richa, Dr. R. Satish Kumar, Dr. Zeeshan Ali, all of your insights and expertise have enriched our understanding of modern research practices. To the participants, thank you for your active engagement and commitment throughout this week. May the seeds of curiosity planted during this FDP continue to flourish in your academic pursuits. And a sincere thank you to the organizing committee, Commerce and Management Association of India for the meticulous planning and seamless execution, ensuring that every session ran smoothly and created an environment conducive to learning and collaboration. And a very special thanks to our coordinator, Dr. Amar Junaid. Uh, his effort is really appreciable. And special appreciation goes to our sponsors, BIT Mishra, for their unwavering support, without which this FTP would not have been possible. Your commitment to the academic community and the promotion of research excellence is commendable. And I will also like to extend our gratitude to the media for their coverage and support, which is very important. The outreach facilitated by the media will undoubtedly amplify the impact of the knowledge shared during this program. Once again, thank you all for making this faculty development program a resounding success. Let us continue to push the boundaries of knowledge, collaborate across disciplines, and strive for excellence in our research pursuits, as well as in the commerce, management, and technology. Let us carry forward the torch of curiosity and original thinking as we return to our respective academic endeavors. Wishing everyone continued success in the academy journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Gulreet, ma'am. And this is the end of this faculty development program. We will be sharing the link from where we all can download our certificate of participation. That will be there. The Google form that has been shared over the chat box that can be used to fill up your email, and we'll be sharing the link from where you can download your certificate as well. And please note, this event has been covered by the media houses, ANI in particular. Then we have Google News people available in the house, as well as the Times Group. So it will be widely covered, not only in India, but abroad. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, and have a very nice evening.